MechaBreak finally released tons of new infos heading to the official release on July 1st, but they have even more infos coming on June 23rd. And what you were seeing here in the background is the official teaser for the event, which is starting on the 23rd. And yes, that means we are getting 2 new Mechs and tons of new maps. But what they talked about in the official AMA, which was about 50 minutes long, is a lot of changes which came to the game. And if you have been wondering, well, what changed since the beta? A lot. Like, no, seriously. They were hard at work in the last 3 months, and they basically listened to all of the feedback, at least all of the good feedback. It's kind of insane of all the changes they bring to the game, so let's get right to it because it's quite a bit. The first and definitely the biggest new change is that all Mechs will be unlocked from the beginning of the game. That means you don't have to farm anything anymore, right? Like, you don't have to farm like some fake currency. You don't have to pay real money. You can just get into the game and they are all the Mechs unlocked for you. So you don't have to do that anymore. And of course, that also means that that weird fake currency you had to farm doesn't exist anymore. Speaking about unlocking thing, they have basically unlocked everything, right? So when you are getting into the game, you can now choose if you want to go to the tutorial or if you're just saying, dude, I'm a veteran. I have done this so often in the betas and alphas. I'm done here. Just get me into the damn game. And you can do that, right? You don't have to do any of that anymore. They can just immediately port you into the hangar after you created your character, of course. And then you can just play whatever you want because also all the game modes have been unlocked right from the get-go. You can play everything, 3 versus 3, ranked, MechaBreak, 6 versus 6, there are no limitation whatsoever. Oh, by the way, speaking of MechaBreak, there have also been some huge changes how that works. But before we go into that topic, let's talk about mods here very quickly. Remember mods? You know, the stuff you mostly can only farm on MechaBreak, but which is also giving you some performance boost here and there in 6 versus 6 and 3 versus 3. Yeah, that's gone. Well, not entirely. The mods are still there, but they are now not usable anymore in 6 versus 6 and 3 versus 3. So you don't have to fear that somebody is following a guide online, which gives them a big advantage in combat, and you are not following a guide, and so with that you would be weaker, and they would just beat you on the numbers. That doesn't happen anymore. It now comes down to tactics, skill, and all that in 6 versus 6 and 3 versus 3, which leads us to the mods in MechaBreak. So mods still exist in MechaBreak, and they are still working as they exactly did before, but as I said, only in MechaBreak. Also, they basically changed MechaBreak to Escape from Tarkov. They have changed the game now that everything you bring into MechaBreak, you can lose. At the beginning, there will be basically 3 modes of MechaBreak: normal, the hard mode, and then extreme. And the higher you're going into those modes, the more loot you will get, but you are also having a higher chance to actually lose everything you brought, right? So on extreme, there are no limiters, and you can lose all your weapons, the gliders, you can lose your mods you have found in MechaBreak. Like, you can lose everything, and people can just steal that stuff from you, very much like Escape from Tarkov. Now, does that mean the modes are only there for making it harder or getting you more loot? No. Basically, the modes exist to protect new players. So every mode, besides of extreme, have a limit on how much equipment you can bring and how many good mods you can actually bring. So on normal, you have basically an item level limit of, let's say, 2,000, right? And the moment you reach 2,000, that's it, right? You have to remove items from your character, or you have to go into the higher difficulty, which is hard, which is going up till I think 4,000 points. Keep in mind, those numbers will probably change quite a bit. And if you're reaching that limit again, you have to go into extreme, and there's no limit for extreme. But this basically protects new players in particular and makes it so that you still have a feeling of progress, right? But everything else, when it comes to progress, and that also goes for all the MechaBreak stuff, is gone. No, you don't have to upgrade your weapons anymore. You don't have to upgrade your gliders and so on and so forth. Like, you can now just find items and they will have like the same level and all that, right? But there are now tons of different weapons you can find. And again, you can lose them. So it's very much Escape from Tarkov at this point. And those are like the biggest changes to MechaBreak, right? They have also new enemies, of course, in MechaBreak and so on and so forth. So that is, of course, there. But those are like the biggest changes, I would say, about MechaBreak. And that brings us back to MechaBreak in general. Yes, they made some changes to the hangar. They make it now so that your friends can actually hang out in your hangar. They have photo mode. You can get closer to your own mech. You can see the weapons you have, and so on and so forth. So they definitely worked on that. But I also know that a lot of people are more interested in the gameplay. They also made huge changes to some of the mechs out there. I would definitely make a separate video about it because that would be too much, right? They made some big changes, like just to give you a little tease, Pinaka now has a range heal, for an example, right? And they made some other changes to some of the other mechs as well. We have 2 new mechs coming in, another melee mech and another support mech, which looks really interesting. And there's a lot. There's a lot. And that's good because that clearly shows they have listened. They have listened to the community saying, hey, what's with farming stuff? Like, what can we unlock? Why is there so much farming? And it feels like a slog and it's not really great. And they have listened to that. Now, there still seems to be the premium currency in the game, which makes totally sense. I pretty much assume that with the premium currency, you will unlock all the cosmetics, right? Because that's how they finance the game, and I'm completely fine with that, right? Like, we all know that skins sell. Like, I mean, they have a gacha game. They know how they make money, right? So those are all fantastic changes. And it's a pretty big deal that we are getting all the mechs for free, that the mods are now delegated to MechaBreak, where it totally makes sense, that they have now made MechaBreak actually a game mode where you can lose something. A lot of people have been complaining about that you are going into MechaBreak and the only thing you are doing in MechaBreak is gaining items, right, instead of ever losing anything. And making those changes is definitely a good choice, at least in my opinion. Let me know what you, by the way, think about all the changes down below in the comments. I would love to read them. And we will be back when in 2 weeks, the big showcases with all the new features. And there will be more videos of MechaBreak coming up again here on the channel. I know we have been slowing down for the last few months because there wasn't any, right? There was nothing going on, leaving alone that nobody could play the game. So yeah, no need, to release videos where nothing is really happening. But now that we are getting closer to the official release and getting more and more infos, there's definitely a lot of content to come. If you enjoyed this, please don't forget to leave a like. Also, if you're new to the channel, you might want to subscribe to the channel itself if you want to get more MechaBreak news, videos, and all that in the future. With that said, thanks so much for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.